What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, in the building for another special edition of the show on today, where we are talking about week 9 of HBCU football and looking ahead to week 10. October is almost over. As we're recording this, Halloween is the next day. So, some of this HBCU stuff going on in HBCU football is scary, Arielle. I got Arielle Kilgore in the building. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. This past game, you would think that Central was obviously playing to South Carolina State, but let me tell you, they're making a very, very good bid for the Celebration Bowl. And the next couple weeks should be looking scary in the MEAC because we're finally in conference play. So it might get even a little scarier here. Who might end up on top?
I tell you what was looking scary for me. We'll talk about it in a second. But that FAMU Southern game, the offense was sort of scary, like how Southern's offense wasn't moving. But we'll talk about that in a second. But we got to talk about South Carolina State versus Delaware State. Like, they went in. Like, I know you probably had an amazing time watching that game because South Carolina State looking like they really ready to challenge North Carolina Central. But I got to hear your take on it. What do you think about the game?
Yeah, South Carolina State just doing the doggone thing, no pun intended, but they won 69-35. And when I looked at them, I was just like, well, this isn't Central playing. Obviously, it's South Carolina State. And Chennis Berry has finally figured out maybe a formula to play against them in this upcoming week. South Carolina State started off in conference play with 30-plus point blowout. They went 7-28 at the end of the first quarter. They allowed only 5 touchdowns for this game, which was a little bit more than what they have in their previous games, which they're on a four winning streak right now. This will make fourth being Delaware State. They have allowed 2 or 3, so allowing Delaware State 5 was just good enough for them, but not enough to topple them. You would think this amount of touchdown score that they would have a chance to catch up to Delaware State, but when you looked at the game and looking at their story, they were already blowing them out in every quarter that you can even think of. By halftime, they're already at 49-14. Eric Phoenix, almost perfect, only missing 4 passes, 18 out of 21, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns included himself. South Carolina State, one of the things that I do think that they have against Central when they do play them is their quarterback is not scared to run, not scared to event plays herself. And I know Walker Harris has started to develop his own kind of swag, but this is something Eric Phoenix has been doing all season. It's something that we could expect in the game coming up. Delaware State punted 6 times in this game, including 2 fumbles. One of the fumbles that South Carolina State made, that wasn't a perfect game. Delaware State picked it up, ran it back for a touchdown. One of the few pick sixes that I thought, hey, maybe they have a chance. But that was late into the fourth quarter and something that was already going to be iced out by South Carolina State after they threw that 40-plus yard touchdown. So there was nothing more that they could do. Eric Phoenix also scoring a touchdown with himself. South Carolina State putting themselves in a primetime position, maybe to be in the Celebration Bowl. They're only 1-0. But Chennis Berry, as we look at him and we look at this game, we know that he's a great running back coach. We know that he handles defense really, really well. But as you can see in this game, there were hardly any running yards. Most of the yards came from in the air. There was over in total 477 passing yards to happen in this game. So we're starting to see that maybe in preparation for this upcoming week in football, that he's not going to try the running game as much, even though I think it would be a really great solution playing against Central, because Central, as we can see, Walker Harris has an arm, and one of the things that he is somewhat still uncomfortable with and somewhat still, I think, isn't one of the biggest assets like how it used to be, is the backfield for them. So having this, I think this might be a lot of arm power. A lot of things have developed with Eric Phoenix. I saw a lot of great control. I saw a lot of great decision making. And when you have a quarterback that's confident in his position and knows what to do, and it's blowing out teams like this, I mean, Delaware State isn't bad, but this is one of the blows that we can see that this makes them prepare for however they want to roll in on Central. So I'm very proud of this. I'm proud of where they're coming from and being on a 4-game winning streak. South Carolina State has nothing to look to but up. And this is one of those teams where Howard is out the competition and South Carolina State is looking a little scary. And this could be the first time in many years that we can see South Carolina State beat Central again to go back to the Celebration Bowl and maybe win a championship for Chennis Berry's first year.
Yeah, I think that'd be the dream. Just seeing Chennis Berry in that spotlight. I mean, listen, he's an amazing coach, and I just think that his philosophy translated so well to FCS football of having a stout offensive line, a stout defensive line. You see Eric Phoenix, who, although he wasn't at Benedict last year because they had Aeneas Dennis that was their quarterback last year, and Aeneas was amazing. But Eric Phoenix was doing his thing when you had Benedict that went undefeated that first year and they won the SIC championship and they ran through the whole entire conference. So you have an Eric Phoenix that's very talented, like Delaware State. I knew they wouldn't be able to compete. I didn't know it would be that bad. Like when I looked at the scoreboard, I'm like, this is basketball numbers. I thought that maybe something was wrong with the scoreboard. I'm like 69-35 and the 45 points in the first half. But I mean, it makes sense. Like I think that what we're seeing is a changing of the guard of, hey, Chennisberry is in this conference. Now it's going to be him and Trey Oliver. Like I just think that's what it was. And that was what it was always going to be. But folks fooled themselves. Folks gaslighted themselves to make them think that Chennisberry was not going to be competitive the moment he stepped foot into this conference with the Buddy Pugh blueprint. The fact was already in South Carolina, the fact that he basically had an FCS team at Benedict, like it was so clear that he was going to be good. And I always talked about how, they were like, well, Chennisberry can beat these HBCU teams. He can't beat these white teams. He beat them. He beat Tennessee Tech. He beat the Citadel. He blew out Delaware State. Like what else is there to do? But go to Thursday and see what happens with North Carolina Central. So I'm proud of Chennisberry. I'm rooting for him because I want him to prove all these folks that were talking crazy wrong, because he is such a great football coach. He has so much skin in the game when it comes to football. And I'm just so excited to see what happens Thursday and beyond, because I think that South Carolina State, they found them another 20-plus year coach. They found them another Buddy Pugh, another Willie Jeffries. I don't know how they do it. I wish they could teach me in business how to get people that can actually work, and we can have them for a little minute and we can get success. I mean, they're doing amazing, and I'm so excited to see where they go from here. But Arielle, you have any final thoughts on this game?
Well, I mean, just starting off as a coach, whenever new coaches enter into the scene, some of them can fail, like how we're kind of seeing with North Carolina A&T, or how we saw with other schools. And sometimes they rise into the occasion, like how we see with Tennessee State when we're looking at Eddie George, or when also we're looking at Chennisberry when we're talking about South Carolina State. Yes, he comes from a great pedigree. He's a great coach himself, but every coach that you put into an atmosphere, especially to precede somebody that's been so great when we think about Buddy Pugh, always doesn't come out and fits that measure. But we're seeing that now with Chennisberry. And one of the things that kind of scares me with Chennisberry, now that we're getting into this in-conference play, we kind of have our Jackson State and Florida A&M and South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. And I want him to keep this momentum, not saying that anything that should happen on this Thursday is not going to be meant to happen. This game may be completely a defensive battle. We may not see as many points on the scoreboard. However, this kind of pressure is not going away. Let's think about Central just about 2 years ago. They were just starting out this program. They have a really good coach. They got some really good picks. They recruited really well. And now they're staying on top of the MEAC for the third year in a row. We have to remember that they are 2-0 already in the MEAC. They already played Delaware State. And they already played Norfolk State. So they already have their position secure, and they could try to keep it secure if they win against South Carolina State. But this is one of those things that I don't want anybody to forget what Chennisberry is doing. This season, this preliminary season that he's having, this first season, is not going to be the end of his greatness. This man knows how to coach. And this is one of the things that we have been missing, to me, in the MEAC. And I think we can see really, really great things from him coming in the future. But South Carolina is chasing everybody. They're on tails this season. And I cannot wait for this Thursday's night game.
Yeah, I can't wait either. It's going to be on ESPN too, so it's going to be a huge audience. But I mean, like, it's going to be bigger than the ESPNU audience. I'll tell you that much. All right, so that's a good thing. People can really see the game and see what's going on. So my game of the week was Southern and FAMU, two name brand institutions. HBCU football blue bloods. I remember they faced off for the first time in years in 2019. That was a very hyped game, and it was a barn burner. It was honestly an amazing game. This one was not. FAMU wins 24-6. I don't have too much to tell you. I really don't. I mean, Southern, I honestly wish that I could put together, even watching these games, why they were entering into this game 2-0 in the SWAC West. I don't understand why. Everything I said about Southern is true here. Like it's true. I mean, because it's like their offense was bad. Like Noah Biden, who I think is a really good quarterback, 6 for 18, 45 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Then you bring in Cesarian Tezent. He was 3 for 9, 38 yards, only 83 yards through the air, 122 yards on the ground. I don't know what to do with that when on the flip side, you have Daniel Richardson that threw for 274 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't know what you do with that. I don't know what you do with a Florida A&M team that they threw more than they rushed for. And then here's the thing, like you have Southern that rushed for 36 yards. They got less yards on more attempts than Florida A&M, who got 128 rushing yards. I, I don't too much know what to say here. I really don't. Like I say, it's scary. I got my Halloween scare watching this game. Like I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I mean, FAMU, I honestly, in a way, feel bad for FAMU because of the fact that they're likely not going to the Celebration Bowl. I mean, it's still possible. I'm not saying it's not because Jackson State could lose. I doubt it. I doubt they will. But Jackson State very well could lose, and they could lose 2 games. And maybe now you have FAMU that's in that SWAC championship. But if Jackson State is successful after they got that win, now you have a FAMU that also can't make the FCS playoffs because of what happened with the Hurricane and the fact they had to reschedule the Alabama A&M game. So, I mean, they're such a great team. I feel like going into that game, they were marginally better than Jackson State. I think Jackson State's an amazing team, but FAMU, I just think still stands head and shoulders above the rest of these teams, but they're not unbeatable like we saw these other years. And now they're in this position where we don't know what their future looks like as Jackson State controls their destiny. So, I mean, this game, I don't have too much except FAMU dominated. Like Daniel Richardson is who we thought he was. And I think that the Southern University offense, and I understand that they sort of run the ball, they run it very proficiently, and they have a good defense. And I think that that's how they win these games. But I just think when you go up against winning teams and you go up against teams that have a proficient passing attack, what are you gonna do? I just really don't know. I wish I could give you a breakdown. Like I wish I could go through the film like I'm Ryan Clark. I can't. I don't know. All I know is that it wasn't that great to watch on ESPN Plus, and FAMU beat him down. I don't know.
You know what's crazy to me looking at these games? To be honest, I thought FAMU would have blew them out further. I was hoping a little bit for this South Carolina Delaware State game. That's what I thought was going to happen. But also, you look at South Carolina State. What to me is scary is not this game, but the competition that they had beaten before to get to this game. You look at them beating Texas Southern, and then after that, you look at them being Alcorn State, and then you look at them beating Prairie View in overtime, that crazy game. And you're like, okay, it's not the competition that FAMU has been playing like Troy and everybody else. But you also look at those 2 previous games that they had earlier in the season when they played Norfolk State and they played South Carolina State. And those close games, and when those games ultimately coming to a loss, you're just like, okay, well, maybe this looks a little possible. FAMU, an elite team, not as great as they were last year, and especially not proving the competition to me to be against Jackson State. Jackson State is just pulling their number a little bit, but this still is one of those games that I see that FAMU, this should have been a blowout game. South Carolina State, you had some good plays, but this isn't competition that you should be able to win against FAMU. And then you look at the game and you look at the scores for each quarter and how they play, and then you have a non-scoring quarter in the second quarter of this game. And it's just like, what are we playing right now? FAMU, what are you doing right now playing to a team that's not even on your level? And now you're getting to a point where we've been North Carolina A&T and our MEAC years has been this in before, where we are relying on another team to lose, and the MEAC will see this very soon, just so that way we can pull a spot into the Celebration Bowl. But the competition that you're having right now, the scary upsets that are happening, let's think about Grambling for a second. There are certain teams that if you lose against, or if they're not losing for you, you are risking your whole season to not play for a championship that you want. And now we have talked that maybe they'll play in another side of football. Maybe they don't have to go to the Celebration Bowl. You know, they'll be holding out to see if they make playoffs in FCS. So we're sitting here. We're just like, okay, maybe they'll have that chance, but you don't want that chance. If you can go to the Celebration Bowl, that's what you want to do. If you can beat out these other teams, if you can redeem yourself, and we want FAMU to do that, even though they already have this championship underneath their belt, that's what we want to do. But you should never let a team, especially Jackson State, because I don't see them losing for the rest of the season looking at their schedule, have your future in your hands. And to me, the season hasn't been bad for Florida A&M, but I'm more disappointed in them in this game than for Southern. We all knew what Southern was bringing to the table, but for you not to have a blowout game and then now you're waiting on the next person to decide if you even get that chance to go into the Celebration Bowl, to me that's disappointing. And there's a better FAMU team that we've been talking for the past few years that plays better than this. So not really necessarily, I mean, the outcome was great. Yes, you beat them. It's another win underneath your books. But how they're carrying themselves this season, to me, is more scary than how they're winning their games. They're not winning their games by much. And this is the FAMU team that I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, I have to say this before we move on. I got to be 100% honest. I honestly have to. Listen, this year of HBCU football, I feel like it peaked in like week 2. I honestly really do. Like some of these games are just so bad. Like they're not even watchable. I mean, I'm just being, and people are gonna be mad at me. I know people are gonna be like, oh, like, but at this point, I really don't care. I honestly really don't. These games have been bad. Like I understand in college football, this is not an HBCU issue. This is sort of a football thing of just sometimes teams win 69-35. You know, like sometimes teams win 24-6. But like just some of these games, you have like teams that, and I know that maybe it's because throwing the ball is just so much more fun. And these shootouts, like these Grambling 5 overtime classics, like maybe I like that. I don't know, but it's been sort of boring this year. It honestly has. Like I don't know if it's because it's an election year and like I go viral all the time for tweets and I'm responding to tweets as I'm watching the game. I don't know. I really don't. It's been boring this year. I don't know. I don't know because the thing about it is it's like, oh well, maybe it was Dion. Maybe it was because Jackson State was so great. Maybe it was. I don't know. There was some bad games then too. But last year, Deion Sanders was nowhere near an HBCU, and it was way better last year. It was so much. It's like not like we had good games because that FAMU South Carolina State game, like you said, it was amazing. You had the Grambling Prairie View game. I'm not going to say that was the best played game, but at least it was fun. I felt like I was a part of history. I felt like I'll be telling my kids about that game. Like I was up watching that game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like these games are bad. Like it's hard to even sit through some of these games. Like we're trading 3 and outs. Like we got scoreless quarters. And I like defense, but it's to a point where it's not even the defense. I don't feel like for some of these games. For some of these games, it's not the defense. For some of these games, the offense is hurting themselves. We want to know why FAMU lost to Jackson State. They lost because it was a self-inflicted wound. Like they were going tit for tat with Jackson State in a heavyweight fight, and you had those fumbles, and Jackson State capitalized on it. Like that's why they lost. I just feel like this season has been predicated on teams shooting themselves in the foot, and it's not been a good product to watch. It honestly hasn't. I'm happy for Chennis Berry. I'm happy he's doing his thing. He's giving us some really great games. We're going to talk about Eddie George, Tennessee State in a second. But in general, just like watching HBCU football for me, it hadn't really been fun because the product has looked bad. The football has looked bad. Just being 100% honest. I don't know, Ari. I really don't know.
I mean, I don't want to say that you're wrong. To me, when I think of football, and just from my perspective, when I watch football, I'm watching for the storylines. So I'm a big history buff, and I love doing dives into the players in the background. That's why I love to watch the press conferences before and after the game, just to see where the coach's head is at. Look at some of the stats, some of the improvement on some of the players. So to me, I think storyline wise, this is probably one of the best seasons before post Deion Sanders. I mean, Deion Sanders coming to the HBCU space, big in itself, big in funds, big in opportunities, big in celebrities, of course. you're leaving. And last season, I mean, that was kind of mind blowing when it comes to playing games, and also when it comes to just people in general. Yeah, Buddy Pugh's last season. You're looking at A&T trying to find another coach. A lot of HBCUs trying to find a new coach space. You have recruitments either going up or down. A lot of people leaving Jackson State. A lot of people leaving South Carolina. A lot of people. A great class at North Carolina Central has completely uprooted itself because they're gone. And then you're looking at Howard. Howard having one of possibly the best years that they've had. So you're looking at all of that, and then you go into this season. Chennis Berry is doing great. Eddie George is looking really, really good. FAMU not being the team they're supposed to be. Jackson State finding a little bit more security in who they are in their second year with their head coach. So looking at stories like that, to me, on the personal side, on the human side of things, been a great season. I love the improvement. I love the development of the storylines in each character that has been playing. I love the story of Walker Harris. I'm liking what I'm seeing. But on the other side, while we talk about these games and we listen back to our radio show and we watch these highlights and we watch these games, the MEAC has had a better season despite just pulling random people to me to play, because there's not a lot of people that are in our conference that we can just keep playing each other for 12 weeks in a row. But you look at the SWAC and it's kind of like, to me, who has just to say, no offense against the MEAC, has more athletic ability, has better rivalries, and you get a lackluster season. You get a season of so many upsets, like the Grambling upset that confused me. I wouldn't say the FAMU upset, but just one of the rivalries that didn't go as well. You're looking at where Alabama State stands, what Alabama A&M is doing, and then you're looking at Prairie View, and then you're looking at Southern, who had 2 upsets before the previous FAMU game. I don't like seasons that are confusing or teams that don't have consistency. And that's what's been lacking to me in the SWAC. There's no consistency. There's no leader. There's nobody that's really proven. I guess you could say Jackson State, but to me, there's nobody really proven that they have been just a perfect team. Not really perfect score, not a perfect record, but just a perfect team that what you get on the field is what you're going to get from me every week. The SWAC has been up and down. So if you take that into consideration, then some of the games that they've just been throwing at HBCUs, no, this hasn't been the best season of all the seasons that we covered. Has it been an interesting season? Sure. We love the upsets. We love the overtimes. We love the blowouts. But I would say there is more human interest in this season than there is great play, because I don't like these inconsistencies that I'm seeing, especially in the SWAC. I expect them in the MEAC. You're not playing somebody that's in your conference every week, not even every 3 weeks. But for the SWAC to have all these teams to at least see each other 2 to 3 times this season, and then you're going 1-2 or 2-1 or 1-1, we could tie a game. That type of inconsistency is not, to me, it's unacceptable for the SWAC. So yeah, the season hasn't been great, but just for me, how I look at football, the human interest has been interesting. So it's keeping me excited. But let me tell you, if we could have a season like last year, I would love to have that.
Yeah, I would too, and I don't want to step on what I just said. Like maybe it's because I'm bougie when it comes to broadcasting. Because there's some of these games I don't watch. But I see your reaction. Yes, it's maybe because like some of these games are so poorly broadcasted too. Like maybe it's because I'm very, when it comes to broadcasting, I am so bougie. I honestly am. It's just like we're both mass comm graduates, Arielle, like, and you in North Carolina A&T, so you like the mass comm graduate, okay? So it's like you got the A&T degree, so it's like I know you got to feel the same way. It's like some of the broadcasts of these HBCU games, it's like we need to do better. And it's like it's not HBCU Go. Like HBCU Go be doing this thing. Like it's mainly ESPN Plus. Like I like just watching some of these games is like it's just disgusting. Like honestly, it just feels like it's just this year. It's just been a year. It's not like and I think that maybe also before we move on, I'll say this is that maybe it's the fact that like who's the better team in some of these matchups. Like for example, I'll use Division II as an example because I've been watching Division II. Like when Fort Valley steps on the field, I'm not trying to big up my school, but I'm just saying like when Fort Valley steps on the field with a lot of these teams, like it's Kentucky State, I know Fort Valley is going to beat them down. I'm just wondering about how much, and I'm wondering if they're going to score. Like it's not like, oh, they're gonna give him a run for his money. Like I know how this is gonna go. Like when Fort Valley played Morris for the homecoming, right? It was 21-20 at halftime, and people hitting up the DM. Oh my gosh, what's going on? I'm like, bruh, we know how this is gonna end. Can we fast forward to the end? Oh, they win 45-20. Like it's like we know the outcome here for every team that's not Grambling. Okay, for Grambling, I do not know. At this point, Grambling is like a tosser. Like Grambling is like the plot twist in a TV show at this point, because I don't know who's gonna win that game, because like they losing games that they should win, and you got Mickey Joseph, man, he cussing folks out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Grambling's the only team where it's like when I watch Grambling, I do not know what's gonna happen. That's the only thing. Like you got me. I didn't know that was gonna be the ending. Plot twist, really great writing. Okay, but for the rest of these teams, it's like I just the good and the bad, the haves and the have-nots, and it's like I don't know what to do with it. And then it's like it don't help that basketball's back. It don't help that college basketball is back. Okay, it don't help that women's college basketball is back, and I'm ready for women's college basketball. Okay, it doesn't help they got an HBCU alumni running for president. It don't help that either, because I'm looking at like what's going on, like what they done said about Puerto Rico. Like I'm not focused on what's going on. Like I'm really not. I'm really not. And then the streams are bad too. So I don't know. I just want better, Arielle. I just really want better. But final thoughts on whatever I just said.
I mean, we went from politics to new basketball season, and we went everywhere. I don't listen. I'll tell you from work. Everybody hates to talk about politics. Everybody hates to hear about them. But this election is so important, especially the rhetoric that has been going around for the past 2 weeks. We're looking at, not to endorse who you vote for is who you vote for. Speaking of that, we've been covering a lot of people that feel like they've been falsely persuaded, or feel like they're being convinced to vote for one party. Vote who you vote for, but vote responsibly. But if you're just looking at the past two candidates and what they're saying and what they're doing and who they're offending and what's going on, these kind of things matter. And why people are pushing matter. And why you should vote matter. So that's been happening. I'm excited that actually basketball is back. Basketball has been scary too. The Lakers were on a winning streak and then they lost. We're looking at Bronny play. This is amazing. I'm about to see Juju Watkins. She's probably about to be the star face of college basketball now. Sure. This is getting really crazy. It's getting a little scary out here. So I'm not a big basketball person, but when it comes to college basketball, I'm all in for it. But listen, FAMU, we're praying for you because we don't know how your season's going to go. Grambling, don't scare Randall. Just go ahead and beat Fort Valley. You're not going to say blow out, but just beat them. Do whatever you need to do. Let's go. Maybe we have to start going to, the conference that just seems safe, which is the CAA. We know what's going to happen over there, the OVC Big South games.
Yeah,
those have been the most consistent games that we've recorded.
Right, and you know what's the crazy part about it, though, before we move to the game of the week? Hampton beat Elon. And the crazy part about it in like us covering these games, right? And just talking about HBCU football, how weird this season has been. So you have North Carolina Central running through everybody, like everybody that's been on their schedule, even including Campbell, like including teams that are not HBCUs out of conference. They're just running through everybody, right? And they're about to go back to the Celebration Bowl. And then you had North Carolina Central lose to Elon. They're like 2-6 right now. And then Hampton drugged them. Like, when I say Hampton 41-21, like drug them. And it's like, how in the world did North Carolina Central not beat them? So maybe the CAA is like consistent at this point. The CAA and the OVC Big South with Tennessee State. Maybe it is. Maybe you're right. Like maybe we should be CAA OVC Pulse at this point when it comes to the sports side. Like maybe that's not the A&T side. We ain't gonna talk about A&T, but like the other side.
We're not going to talk. The next time that you hear me say anything outside of this episode will be a new coaching change in our recruitment class.
Mm.
That's probably it. You know, because being dragged for homecoming is unacceptable. A little loss, a little deficit, we can do that. Being
Yeah.
dragged, that was embarrassing. So, North Carolina A&T, you'll be hearing from me as an alum. You'll be getting my call, and hopefully my donations to whatever coach that you decide for.
You go call him. You go call him.
Yeah, you know what I should have did when I was on campus 2 weeks ago? I should have walked to the president's house. I'd be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Because you know he's probably out there for like an hour of the parade, but then he's going back. He's getting dressed. He's coming to party with the students. And between that hour of break, I should have been like, "Hey, let's sit down. I'm Arielle Kilgore, co-host of HBCU Post. And we would just like to talk the performance, what's been going on at A&T, all that, just to say, I really need you to focus on the quarterback. Our quarterback has been great in 3 years, and I need to change that because the quarterback sets the tone. To me, we've had these conversations, who's more important, offense or defense. To me, the most important player is your quarterback.
I agree.
You could debate. Some people, and I have debated before, some people debate that your field goal kicker could be the most important. I say he is crucial because them extra points matter.
They do.
But your quarterback is the most important piece because you build around your quarterback. You build on his abilities. That's probably one of the reasons why Walker Harris lost that Elon game. I mean, he wasn't as developed, but you build around him. As you see, Central has become a passing offense. They don't run the ball as much because that's just not something that Walker Harris initially goes for. So I need a great quarterback. I need an even greater coach. You can keep our defensive coach. He's great. Special teams, shaky, but he could stay. Everybody else can go. That's my analysis. But who am I? Just an alumni that's paying back her dues and would love, who also went through A&T's 3P, would just love to see a winning team again. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, if you talk to the new Dr. Martin, tell him 2 words: conference realignment, and then add one more word: MEAC, or one more abbreviation: MEAC, Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Okay, get up out the CAA, get up out of there. All right, and I want to say that one last thing before we move on. Listen, in the YouTube comments, I just want to say that we had people that was commenting very compelling arguments. Like, we know what, it's not actually, because I think I said that North Carolina A&T moving to CAA was like what did I say? I think I said it was almost like a lateral. I said it was a lateral move. Someone said, well, it's not really a lateral move. And I can understand that viewpoint. And I'll tell you why I understand it in all seriousness. The basketball side and the other sports. Because in basketball, you have the Lady Aggies, they're ranked, I think, top of the conference, for all the things they did in the tournament, in IT, and then how they were beating all these teams. So I can understand from that element, because I think that when we talk about conference realignment, I think across the college athletic scene, we keep it to just football because that's normally your moneymaker. And basketball is a revenue sport as well, but football is what the folks really get prepared for. Football is the driver of what this homecoming season is every fall. Like, ultimately, you gather up and you're coming back for the football game and the festivities around it. Almost like how you said, hey, like, you build around the quarterback. If you look at a university schedule, you're building around the homecoming football game, right? And then even who you bring in matters, because that adds more buzz to your campus. Because if you're playing a pop-in school, like, now it's more folks that's on campus, might see some folks that like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that adds to that level of like what homecoming is. So, like, I think we do get caught up in football. I just think that it just looks really bad, and I don't see for A&T what up looks like unless there's a new coach. I mean, because I don't see what up looks like. I mean, but basketball is doing really well. I mean, they are. You know what I'm saying? And the other like track and field, like y'all got Olympians, like y'all got that. I mean, but it's just like the football piece is really bad. Like it's just it is really bad. But like the comment, if y'all making money, but y'all are A&T, y'all gonna make money anyway. You know, it's like make money with the black folks, okay? Like just
Like I'm not gonna lie, like the hurt in your voice of trying to like trying to agree that this probably wasn't allowed to remove. You know, grandparents when they see a baby and the baby not be as cute, and they'll be like, "Oh, how precious! Look at their clothes; they're so cute." That's how you sounded. Oh, the teams, the basketball team, the track team. Oh, they're great. Trying to avert everything to not say anything bad about football, but you know in that sense, overall, yes, other sports teams deserve a chance to play bigger and better competition. I can see that, and in a revenue sense, it is better for A&T. However, we all, not even gonna go down that route. We all can't succeed if one person, one group, one entity can't succeed. So yes, thank you to the bowling and the tennis, especially the golf and the basketball and the track and field, keeping us up. We love y'all. Football, join the squad. Please join the squad.
yeah,
That's it. All right, listen. Let's get to these games of the week
yeah.
because everybody probably figure out what is it since this football season sucks for y'all. what
Well,
is
I
the
already
game?
know what your game of the week is. Okay, can I
Oh, okay.
guess? Can I guess?
Go ahead.
North Carolina Central, South Carolina State.
Oh my gosh, you're so smart. I wish you
Oh my god.
good job. What do they say? Like Jabria, good job. Good job.
We wilding this episode.
We are. Listen, that is my game of the week only because we are finally getting to whether these teams can topple and lose. Like I said earlier in my previous breakdown, Central is already 2-0 in the MEAC. South Carolina State getting their first win is 1-0. Look at 2 undefeated in conference play teams. Now this is where it gets shaky. North Carolina Central has beaten South Carolina State these past couple years, except for one time. So Berry can start breaking that record when they play against each other, and maybe he can make it too. However, this is going to be a little iffy, and I would like to say that just because we are now playing a central game. And I think that's one thing that Walker Harris has to look out for. They know that he is a throw-in quarterback, and they just proved in this Delaware State game that they can put up passing yards too, and they can do it efficiently, and they can do it with a heavy hand. That first touchdown that they scored to make it 7-28 at the end of the first quarter was a 49-yard pass. Walker Harris can do those numbers, but it takes him a minute to warm up to that. He is just not a shotgun quarterback. He can't do that off a first rip. Now, I could be wrong, and this statement may not age well with me with what I just said. But now that South Carolina State knows how to play a game like North Carolina Central, we're looking at maybe a shootout game or a game that can beat each other defensively, because we know North Carolina Central has built that defense since Trey Oliver has been there. And that's one of those things that he saw was a weak spot when he became a coach. He was like, hey, this is something that we have been good at. This is something that teams have been beating us. We have to have the best defense that we can develop. But then you get Berry, who is a defense man, who's also a running back man, and has built that up within his first year. So you're seeing what Trey Oliver, what took him almost 2 years, what Berry is doing within one season. So this game, I'm super excited for. One of the teams that I have come to love, and another team that has a great underdog story, battling it out this Thursday in their first game that can determine. Now, if they lose, this will only make South Carolina State 2-0, and this will make North Carolina Central 2-1. Whoever beats Howard and who loses to Howard later in November will determine who goes to the Celebration Bowl. But also there can be times where maybe Howard beats both of them out and ends up tying the whole MEAC. This is where they could probably go into tough competition. And to me, I think surprisingly, South Carolina State may bury everybody despite what Central has done. We're probably looking at, unfortunately, a Florida State season. What competition was better? Which I still think they were robbed. That's none of my business. We're not talking about them. We're not talking about the ACC. But it could come down to one of those things. If this happens, Howard is the denominator for what is going to go down. If Central goes up 3-0, we can be looking at an early Celebration Bowl pick, period. I would, as much as I would love to see them run it back and get another championship, I would love Chennisberry to be in the Celebration Bowl. But these are just two teams that are not going down without a fight. So I expect a high intensity game. Hopefully a high intensity game, hopefully a high scoring game. If Walker Harris can prove me wrong and we can have a shootout, I'm all here for it.
Listen, if North Carolina Central blows out South Carolina State, that'll break me. I'm not gonna lie to you. That will break me. I would be like, you know what? Like I can't ESPN two. Like I can't. We cannot do that. Like can y'all like because people love. I'm a wrestling fan. Like people love bringing up like when it comes to stuff that's scripted. Oh, WWE, it's like wrestling. Listen, wrestling take a suplex. Okay, it's real. It's real. We take that suplex. Okay, are they really punch it? No. Okay, but there are storylines that they are following, and the winner is predetermined. Okay, maybe y'all should predetermine this finish. And I'm not saying y'all whoever wins, but like like make it where touchdown, 3-and-out, touch. Give ESPN2 something. Give Stephen A something to talk about on First Take because it's on ESPN. Maybe they should talk about it. I don't know, but please, okay. Like if Chennisberry blow out North Carolina Central, I might allow that only because of the fact that you just blew out North Carolina Central. And it's like Chennisberry and we could start the narrative when Chennisberry's on ESPN. He be blowing people out because it's like he blew out Fort Valley in 2023. Now he gonna blow out North Carolina Central 2024 on ESPN2 when the lights are the brightest. Chennisberry be winning. Listen, I don't know who to pick though. I really don't know. Honestly, really don't. Because
I don't think I gave my pick, which is my bad. I'm Jesus, Lord help me, Mary and Joseph. This is I when I thought about it, I was just like, oh, this isn't as easy as I thought. I'm gonna stay safe. I don't know. Actually, there's no safe team. I don't know what to do. I'm going to choose North Carolina Central. Maybe they come out with this. I'm so scared. I think they're kind of scared too. I'm so scared.
I don't know. Like
You have to choose.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna choose, but it's like I don't know. I don't know because I got a lot of faith in Chennisberry, but that's Trey Oliver. I think that it's going to be a chess match either way. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, you have to look at the competition, right? And South Carolina State has played they played FAMU and nearly broke up that home winning streak. So and they played them tough. And okay, let me ask you this. Like I may need your help on this. Okay, who do you think? I know this is on the spot, but who do you think is a better offensive team based on what you've seen, FAMU or North Carolina Central? I'm asking just because I need help with my decisions. I'm trying to do better opponent. South Carolina State played better against FAMU. So, like, if they replicate that and that was an early season matchup, I could considerably choose South Carolina State. But what say you?
What? Not what say you? Well, I mean, in technicality, I think that Central is the better team. They are more consistent. Like the SWAC has not been consistent enough for me to determine who is a great team. I think Central has been consistent and just throughout the season has had upward improvement, especially when it comes to Walker Harris. To me, he has become a more accurate quarterback. To me, they have been decisive about their wins, whether they win or whether they lose. They play the full game. They have close losses besides some of the competition that they have played, where you're thinking about UNC and stuff. But there hasn't been anything to me technically that shows that they're not a team that can't compete. And I think the score, to be honest, could have been the same, or Central could have beat FAMU if they had the chance to play them. That's when I can say. Now, when it comes to this game, the reason why I choose Central is because Chennisberry is a new coach. Yes, he is doing the impossible, but you are working with Trey Oliver and a consistent, remember, only his offense left last year. His main quarterback and some of his people up front have left. His defense is still the same and has been the same for the past 2 years. He is working with old recruits. He is working with people that have not left him. Chennis Berry had to bring in people. He's not working with a class that knows how he works. Now, what I don't want to admonish or put down anything that he's done. What he has done this season is incredible. Like I said, for a new coach to come in and succeed a coach that literally changed HBCU history in the game is a win within itself for South Carolina State. But South Carolina State doesn't need more victories. We need a good victory. But I think just because they are a new team and this is a new coach that hasn't played Trey Oliver, that's why I'm going with Old Faithful, I could say, in Central. Now, the reason why I say that South Carolina can pull their cards because they're playing their game. Walker Harris is not a running quarterback. He is not mobile unless he has to be, unless he is forced to be. And he also does not like running his running backs. That has to be a last minute play or he has to be close to the red zone. We see them run a lot in for their touchdowns, but passing is his thing. South Carolina State can do both, and they're better in the backfield to me than Central. So those are the only two things. Like if they surprise them with a lot of this running game that Central is not ready for, then yes, we can be looking at an upset. But to me, just for people that have been here, that have longevity, that know this coach, that know what they can do, and only have seen consistent improvement off of technicalities, Central to me is the better team.
Okay.
That is
You
my
know what
case, Judge. The defense rests.
you know what? I'll choose South Carolina State.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's get some competition going. I love it.
Because I could see North Carolina Central winning, but I just think that the variables are this. Like, I don't think that there's an unbeatable team in HBCU football. And I think that between Eric Phoenix and DeAndre Duhart, and you have KZ Adams, we talked about him. You brought him up a lot of times in your games of the week. They got players like South Carolina State. Even if it's Chennis Berry's first year, they got guys. So I think it could be and will probably be a very close game, and then it'll sort of be a measuring stick type of moment in probably that those first couple of drives to like, hey, like, you know, which run game is better, like how we establishing the game. I think that Chennis Berry can pull it out and really scare the MEAC with that victory. You know, I can predict to you that Howard's not beating either one of them. Not this Howard team. I can give you that prediction. If I'm wrong, I'll just be wrong. But if I'm wrong, I'll be like, well, he doesn't even like HBCU football. First, I do. I get paid from it. But also, it's like if you watch Howard these past like few weeks, you understand why I'm predicting that Howard's not beating either of these teams. Like, this is the MEAC championship game at this point, in my opinion. But like, I have a feeling that South Carolina State will do really well. If they don't, I'm hedging my bets. If they don't hold it against me. Don't hold it against me. But
I'm holding it since we weren't able off of technical difficulties, which really sucked, you know. Really sucked last week. I'm definitely holding it against you. But also, we haven't talked about it yet. Central, I hope everything is okay. They had two active shooters at their homecoming tailgate. No reports that I have seen of any deaths, but multiple people shot, and that's not okay. I had some friends there calling them, making sure they're okay. So this week, as they recover from that, you know, praying that all is well, praying everybody was safe. More than likely, the football players were not at the game. I mean, we're not at the tailgate because they're playing the game. But just hoping everybody that was there, it's safe, that everybody has had counseling, that everybody is good, because honestly, this homecoming season was going well until it wasn't. So glad that if everybody is safe, they are safe. Hopefully we'll get more updates, but you know, that's scary. We're here for a good time, and then two active shooters is crazy. We always hear of one, but two is crazy. So hope all is well while we're talking about this game and while they're in our mouths right now, that they're doing great. But You're South Carolina State. Love that for you. I'm Central. We're gonna get it popping. I
Okay.
love this.
Love it. Love it. Listen. And shout out in the North Carolina Central. Hope all is well with them. My game of the week is Tennessee State versus UT Martin. I think that Eddie George is finally catching his stride at Tennessee State. And we talked about it early in the year when we did our preview, that I think that with Eddie George, like, I hope he stays because I think that this season is going to be so productive for Tennessee State. Like for the rest of this season, I think regardless of this game, like they're gonna have like a really good record. And I think that they're going to be teams that are going to come a calling. I honestly believe that Eddie George is a phenomenal coach. His coaching staff are doing their big one. Like, and you can just tell that this is a team that's been improving throughout the duration of him being there, which you have to give the coach the opportunity to build a team that can contend. And I think that the margin of error is slimmer because I never want to say, even though I think that HBCU football, at least on the Division One side, has been a little bit blah, especially in the SWAC, honestly. But I'm never gonna say, oh well, the OVC they just play so much better. It's like I don't see a lot of differences in talent. I don't see a lot of differences in like intensity. I just see slight coaching differences, and I don't want to say, oh well, the OVC's other conferences have better coaches, but I just see some coaching differences. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes decision making that makes more sense in that moment that Eddie George has sort of planned against. And I think that he dominated HBCU football in the slate, beat Howard on their homecoming, and they've won 4 straight games. Like, and to be honest, there's no reason why Tennessee State lost to Tennessee Tech. That made no sense to me. Like just as much as North Carolina Central losing to Elon, like them losing to Tennessee Tech 24-14 made no sense. It made no sense. But I can understand that it's early season. You're still trying to figure some things out. So I guess I guess, but I think that Tennessee State is really a contender in the OVC Big South. Now, they don't have a championship game. So you have Southeast Missouri that's at the top of the OVC Big South. You have Tennessee State, currently they're at number 2. And you have UT Martin that's at number 3. So this game is actually really big because like this could really determine some things when it comes to the postseason and all these different things. So we don't know because I mean, could we see 2 teams out OVC Big South make the playoffs in this game? We don't know. Will Southeast Missouri stay at the top? We don't know. But if Tennessee State wins this game, I mean, this is by all means, we can say this is a successful season because you're beating the teams that you're supposed to beat and you're beating the contenders. You have a UT Martin team that has a stout running game. They have a stout defense. You have their run game averaging 177.8 yards per game. Like you have some all conference players on this team on the offense and the defense. The defense is very stout, but also you have a Tennessee State team with Draylon Ellis that I think he's been a good quarterback. I did say that the offense looked a little bit shaky to me, but I've seen the vision for what Eddie George and his offensive coordinator want that offense to be. And it's a running offense. I think that they've built that team to be able to pass if necessary, but Eddie George is a running back. So like it is an offense that is predicated largely on the run, but Draylon Ellis has the ability to throw it, but he's gonna run. Like Draylon Ellis can make plays. So I honestly think that this is going to be a good game. I'm going to pick Tennessee State. I have a lot of faith in Tennessee State after what I've seen these past few games. I think that they're rounding in the form. They're bringing it together. Whenever I bring up Tennessee State, I got to say this. I hate that they lost their defensive stalwarts in Monroe Beard. And I hate that they lost their defensive guys. But I think that Tennessee State is something going on when it comes to player development. It's something that's going on with coaching when it comes to Eddie George. And I just have a lot of faith that they'll win this game marginally. I'll be wrong here. If they lose, I'm fine with that because I think that at some point, like the HBCU football faithful got to have faith in Eddie George because he's a winning coach. His tenure, Arielle, at Tennessee State, he's a winning coach. Like at Howard, win made him a winning coach. His tenure has been successful. So like I'm gonna choose Tennessee State just to have faith in that defense being able to stop that run game and the offense being able to do what they do and really be successful. So we'll see what happens.
I'm going to agree with you. And one of the things is when you find a good coach, once you have a great season, and we've seen it before, they try to move on to bigger and better if bigger and better is calling. And there's nothing wrong with that. You've proved your worth. But in this, I think Tennessee State has a good thing with Eddie George. And I would love to see what he would do after this season, regardless if they win or lose to UT Martin. But I love what they have been doing. I love the intensity that they play at, and I love that each game is different. They never come back with the same mistakes. They always try to make different improvements and different tweaks in how they play each competition. It seems to me that he really studies who he's playing for the next week, because each game and how his team goes out there is not the same team that they had played a week before or 2 weeks prior. They're never playing the same. So he really makes sure that his team studies the games. And I know that they study UT Martin. I know that they have a scoring battle when it comes to that. They can be stopped. UT Martin's a really tough team. So I would love to see them beat them, and I would love to see what their future looks like post this regular season. So I'm going to go with Tennessee State with you, regardless if they win or lose. But what Eddie George has done over there is amazing, and I hope he keeps it up. And I hope after this season he tries to bring another season like this even better before he decides that, maybe my expertise can be used elsewhere. But I just want a coach that has been a really great coach to stay somewhere and see what they can develop in the program.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm not gonna say we disagree on South Carolina State, North Carolina Central. We're just more so choosing two different teams. We don't disagree like on South Carolina State, North Carolina Central. We're just like, hey, I'm gonna choose South Carolina State just to have faith in Chennis Berry and go out on a limb. All right.
Yeah, I mean it's a really tough game. Like when you put me on the spot, when I realized I didn't hit my pick, I just it was crazy. But you're just looking at the returned players for Central and kind of how grounded they are. I mean, miracles happen. Look at Chennis Berry. This is a miracle season. This is a miracle season. But
you said miracles happen.
Miracles happen. But it's just Central. I think they might, but also they play each other again at the end of November. So if Howard is a non-deciding factor, whoever wins this game or loses this game, you got to run it back at the end of November just to really solidify who is going to play the swag in the Celebration Bowl. So I mean, all is fair. All is fair as right now. It's just if you let Central go up 3-0, it gets a little sticky there. So.
A miracle on Halloween. How about that?
There's been upsets before. 2 years ago, Central was upset by Norfolk State. So, but they still made it. So it's a scary time in football, as we've said. So anything can happen as we get into these weeks of in-conference play in the MEAC. This November is probably one of the scariest months for the MEAC because any team can fall to anybody, and that can determine whether you go or not. So,
hey, listen, that's real. So the MEAC has 2 games on Saturday because it's one on Thursday. Maybe it's always been like this. I just never noticed it. I don't know.
When it gets into our little faux playoff, yes. When it gets into November, we start seeing those weekday games.
I never noticed that. It just seemed like the slate was like more expansive. I mean, but these are 6 teams. I mean, North Carolina Central, South Carolina State, Delaware State, Howard, Norfolk State, Morgan State. Those are 6 of 8 schools. I mean, so it's like it makes sense. It's not an error. You know what I mean? Like University of Maryland Eastern Shore don't play football anymore. I mean, they probably should because I mean they had Art Shell, like when they were Maryland State. I used to go crazy back in the day. Like they probably should be playing. Like might as well, might want to tee that ball off, and what I mean, you never know. Like at this point, like have another Art Shell, but
some people are just they like, well, they were like Clayton State. Clayton State was a basketball team for the longest time. They just now have a football team. So
Yeah.
hey,
I mean, listen.
let's rack it up. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, Delaware State and Howard. Can we agree Howard or not?
Unfortunately, we can agree, Howard. I mean, Delaware State put up a fight. I can say that. They put up some kind of scrapple against South Carolina State, but that's South Carolina State. Howard, the way that like they're part of that inconsistent team, but I don't think they'll completely lose to Delaware State. I hope not.
If,
But we
if,
can
if,
agree.
if Howard loses to Delaware State, there needs to be some conversations. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm just,
Just, that's what I was yeah, this needs to be conversations, period. But like,
yeah,
yeah. We can agree.
yeah. Norfolk State and Morgan State. Who you got here?
I don't like the way they've been pulling my card this season, but that's just on me because I just choose not to have faith in them, and they have consistently been showing me how great they are and just who they could be potentially next season. I'm going with Norfolk State.
Hmm.
Mm.
Norfolk State. They won. They won last week. They won last week. They won last week. They won over Howard. I'm going to go Norfolk State. I'm going Norfolk State. They won over Howard. Yeah, they won over Howard. So yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with If they lost last week, I was totally choosing Morgan State. I'm gonna choose Norfolk State just off the strength that like keep the wins rolling. Dawson Odoms. Listen, save your job, okay? Someone has to save their job at HBCU football because Vincent Brown ain't saving his job. Okay, so let's go to the SWAC. So, all right, Southern versus Alabama A&M. Who you got?
I know the audience is just like, why is she breathing into the freaking? It's just Southern. I mean, after this loss, but you look at Alabama and A&M, and you're like, what the Sam's biscuits is going on with those? I just, it's never.
Sam's biscuits.
Listen, a team when a team sucks so much they bring the country out of you is crazy. Um, None of these teams to me have been having a successful season at all. But if I'm so tempted to choose Southern to upset Alabama and AM. I really am. I really am. I might just do it. I'm choosing Southern.
I'm choosing Alabama A&M.
All right, that's fine.
Because I think that Colonel Maynard actually has Southern's kryptonite, and it's an offense. So like I think that they're gonna rack up yards on them. I just if Southern wins this game, this football, if Southern wins this game, that'll break me. I'm not gonna lie to you, like because it's like like nothing makes sense. Like I just like how are you gonna win the game with 83 pass yards? Like how like are you running the ball that well? Like all I gotta do with Alabama State, like they beat they beat Alabama, and like I like with the fifth string quarterback, like I don't know. It's odd to me, but I'm gonna choose Alabama A&M.
I'll take that L if it comes, but Southern is so unpredictable. They play when they want to play. Like this doesn't make any sense to me. I just like I don't have faith in either team, but the way Southern shows up to teams that are supposed to be better and then they just beat them with last minute points, I'm so confused. So
Yeah,
I'll take it. I'll take the L if it comes, but like Alabama A&M scares me.
yeah.
That's a
Tell you.
scary team.
Yeah, at least for Southern, at the very least, you know what I'm saying? Because they're scared. They're scary. I'm telling you, like boo is the offense. Like you say boo, it's an offense. Like at this point. Okay, can we agree Jackson State beats Arkansas Pine Bluff?
Of course.
Okay.
We can
Can
agree
we
on the next one too.
Grambling Bethune? Yeah. Can we? Whoa. Okay. Texas Southern FAMU. Who you got there? FAMU?
Yeah. I think that's a
Texas
winnable
Southern?
game.
Texas Southern? I mean, I'm not picking Texas Southern, but I'm just saying, like, they've looked very impressive under Chris Dishman. I mean, they could, you know. I'm not saying they will. That FAMU's at home. They don't lose at home. And I don't think that the team that would beat them is Texas Southern. I thought the team that beat them like they were like South Carolina State. I thought that Southern would have beat them at home more than Texas Southern. But I mean, you know, we'll see there. I
I
mean,
mean,
Texas Southern.
FAMU isn't the FAMU of the year before, but they're definitely, don't mistake them as being as Texas Southern, like that is a beatable team. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think FAMU pulls this off.
So I know what's next here is Alabama State Alcorn. We'll get to that in a second. But can we agree that Prairie View beats a winless Mississippi Valley? They're 0-8. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and it's so sad. It really is. But yeah, it's I hate that for them. I really do. No win on the board.
They're like they're really. I didn't realize that. I thought they were like 1-7. I don't know why in my mind I gave them a win. I don't know why in my mind I did, but they're 0-8. Alabama State versus Alcorn. Who you got? I'm very conflicted.
I'm conflicted too. It's more scary. It's more scary than my rogue hair. Listen. You look at Alabama State, decisive wins besides that Florida A&M game. Jesus.
This is actually like this is so. It's actually a good game in a way. Like, this is the crazy part. It's actually a sort of a good game, a good bad game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because I'm gonna choose Alabama State.
I don't know. I don't know.
You can't go back.
Yeah, like when it come to some of these things, let's look at what they got going on, because here's what I need to know. What I need to know is their rushing defense. That's what I need to know. I need to know Alcorn's rushing defense, because we know the one thing that Alabama State is gonna do is run the ball. So if Alcorn can stop the run, they're gonna be perfectly fine. And when I look up the rushing defense leader in the SWAC, I'm be able to choose the person. Okay, listen. Okay, let's see. Okay, Alcorn is number Alabama State.
Okay, there you go. There you
go. They're number 8 in the SWAC in rushing defense. They give up 193 yards per game. Only Arkansas, Pine Bluff, ironically Florida A&M, Mississippi Valley State, and Bethune-Cookman are worse. Which is wild. FAMU's down there. Yeah, it's wild. FAMU's down there. FAMU gives up 199. Okay, and Alcorn's giving up 16 touchdowns. They're giving up 1,549 yards on the ground. Meanwhile, Alabama State is number 2 in the conference. They've rushed for 1,344 yards. They average 192 per game. So if we're looking at just math, if you're giving up 193, and the team that's coming in is averaging 192. Okay, that's what that's like a 1 yard difference. Alabama State.
Hey, did we talk about Grambling and Bethune?
We did.
Okay.
We both just chose Grambling. We both chose Grambling.
Great.
Yes. So let's talk about the CAA. What team A&T's losing to this week? Oh, William and Mary.
Yeah, the team that I thought who did they play? Howard or Hampton?
They play Hampton. They beat down Hampton. Yeah.
But who was the team that I chose against them? I think it was Howard.
Against William and Mary?
Yeah, and
you chose Hampton. You chose Hampton.
Okay. Yeah.
Which in hindsight, let me say this, in hindsight, I can understand now that Hampton's 5-3, they beat Elon. I can see why you had faith in them though. So it's not as funny as it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but hindsight took a while. It took a while. That was like a week 3, week 4 game. So yeah, This is decisively A&T is being beat by William and Mary.
Okay, so let's guess how much. Okay, I got 100.
I got 50.
No, okay, I got 52. Okay, let's
Yeah,
go.
I'm like, half it. Like that is so sad. Why are we doing that to them? But this was probably the team you were thinking about that had one win of the season because
Oh yeah, probably.
was Mississippi Valley
And
State.
and they shouldn't. A&T shouldn't have that win. Winston should have beat y'all. Let's be for real. Winston's good this year too. By the way, they're actually really good this year. So it's like
everybody's really good compared to freaking A&T.
what? Clearly not Mississippi Valley.
Which is sad to be in that ranking. That's so sad.
Yeah,
It's like being a Panthers fan right now.
Well, to be fair, if I'm in any ranking with North Carolina A&T, I'm happy. What do you mean? Like that's A&T. Like because I mean,
happy. You may be happy on your side, but for A&T,
okay, that's true.
Yeah, to be classified and losing that bad, no, I'm okay.
I mean, but at the end of the day, the lights go out on the football field. And you walk into a classroom, okay, and A&T still got that. Y'all still got that for sure.
Listen,
okay?
In the words of my girl Glorilla, at the end of the day got to end. So
my God.
We play too much, man.
We do. Villanova and Hampton. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like Hampton's giving me some faith. I mean, you take the interim tag off of the coach, and I want to say I'm saying the coach because I'm so bad at names nowadays. I don't know why, but he's been doing really good this year. 5-3. I mean, that's a winning season. Villanova's 6-2. And it's hard to gauge these games because it's like this CAA play. I mean, but Hampton just beat a CAA opponent, even though I'll be the losing opponent. That losing opponent beat potentially the Celebration Bowl champion in North Carolina Central. I mean, so it's like, you never really know in this weird football space, but who you got here?
Interesting enough, that game is interesting, and a couple games below is interesting, but surprisingly, I think this could be a close game, but I still think Villanova could pull this off. I think it will be a close game, but I don't think Hampton will win. But they'll keep it in competition. I can't say that. I'm a little bit more interested in this Campbell and Elon game, just a little bit.
Yeah. But do you have Flow Sports to watch it? You do. I forgot you A&T alum. You do. Listen, Flow Sports better try that credit card again for me. Tell you that much. They better try it again. They better try again. Okay, I got that email. Like we're gonna try that card. You better try again. Okay, you better try that Cash App card again. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not gonna overdraft me. Like you better try the Cash App card. Okay, all right. But anyway, but they might try it. I might want to see this game. They might want to try it again. The only reason why I'm choosing Villanova is because I chose South Carolina State. And I gotta have some cushion. But I honestly I think Hampton could win this game. I honestly I got a lot of belief in Hampton right now. I have a lot of belief in them. Just their season beating Elon, which I know we can say, well, that's not a huge accomplishment. But still, I mean, it seems like for both Hampton and for A&T, in all seriousness, they've not been able to win in these CAA games. So to have Hampton win and decisively, then you have Hampton in a shootout against a ranked Rhode Island, right? So I think that Hampton has the ability to win this game. Like I don't think that the William and Mary, with them being so great, I don't think the William and Mary game really defines them. I don't think the Morgan State game defines them. I think what defines them is that A&T win, that Elon win, and then the Rhode Island loss in 2 overtimes, right? 46-44. To me, that shows me a team that has the propensity to score. So I think that they can win, honestly, but I'm going to choose Villanova only because, I want to protect my picks. But if I was really had some courage, Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would choose Hampton, but I clearly don't have any courage. Yeah.
Listen, my courage stopped after the Central and South Carolina State game. So
yeah,
I gotta
that's where mine stopped too, as you can tell. That's where mine stopped too. But I mean, those are the games. Listen, HBCU football prove me wrong. I mean, of course, I think that Thursday game is going to be like, who's playing in the NFL on Thursday? Okay, because I want to see if like on Halloween, if like I got my undivided attention can be on this game. Okay. Oh, the Texans and the Jets. Oh yeah. Oh, HBCU football. I don't want to see that game. I see they struggle to beat down Aaron Rodgers. What you mean? Anyway, we locked in on Thursday. NBA and HBCU football. We locked in. Okay, but yeah, we locked in. But anyway, Arielle, where can we find you on the social media?
You can find me on Instagram at __.marterday Ari, or put me on the hot seat on X/Twitter at @Screery__ or visit my new website at arielkilgore.canva.com.
I love it. I love it. This is a really fun show. All right, this is really fun.
It was.
Hey, you listen to HBCU Pulse Radio.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.